for a smartphone that has it all, Samsung's Galaxy Note lineup has traditionally been the go-to options for those who don't mind spending top dollar for premium tech. In 2019, the same holds true. But with so many other smartphones encroaching on the Note's territory, it's been harder and harder to justify the $1,000 plus sticker price of Samsung's flagship smartphone. But before we jump into any premature conclusions, let's take a closer look at this device. I'm Nick Griff of Phandroid, and this is our full review of the Samsung Galaxy Note 10. This year, users finally get to choose the size of Note that they want. The main difference between the two phones is the size of their display, with a 6.8-inch 3040 by 1440 panel on the larger Note 10 Plus, and a 6.3-inch 2280 by 1080 panel on the smaller sibling. But of course, there are a few other differences as well. Since the Note 10 Plus has a larger footprint, it also has a larger 4300 mAh battery versus a 3500 mAh battery in the Note 10. It comes with 35 watt charging versus 25 watt, and then 12 gigabytes of RAM versus 8 gigabytes. And then on the back, there's an additional VGA depth sensor, which helps with AR tracking, which most people won't be using after the first week with the phone. Now, the Samsung Galaxy Note lineup has traditionally added in more features than most other smartphones, but this time around, they've actually removed quite a few things. The heart rate sensor on the back and the iris scanner on the front are no longer there, but the biggest omission is the 3.5mm headphone jack, which Samsung has held on to longer than most. And then there's the missing LED notification light. Now, dropping the headphone jack is definitely a big deal for anyone who loves a great audio experience, since the physical connection is always better than a Bluetooth one. But personally, I've been using Bluetooth for over a decade now and have no issues with the headphone jack being gone. But no longer having a notification LED is a big no-no in my book, since you no longer get that visual cue of when your phone's fully charged or when important messages come in. Sure, the always on display does make up for it a little bit, but not having that flashing LED is something that I sorely miss. By now, you probably have a really good idea of what a smartphone running a Snapdragon 855 processor can do. It's incredibly powerful, extremely power efficient, and that's why this chip's been used on most flagship smartphones in 2019. Since the phone I have only includes 8 gigabytes of RAM, you might be thinking that it's inferior to the Note 10, which has 12 gigabytes of RAM. On paper and benchmarks, yes, but in the real world, it's impossible to tell the two apart. You can easily use two applications at once, jump back into applications that have been frozen in the background for hours, or just mindlessly switch between Facebook, Chrome, YouTube, and anything else that you can imagine to find something new to spark your interest. Besides the mesmerizing paint job on the back of the phone, which is reminiscent of the back of a CD, the thing you're going to be noticing most on this device is its amazing AMOLED panel up front. Now, there is a hole punch cut out for the front-facing camera there, but that allows the AMOLED display to stretch completely edge to edge and deliver something that you would typically only expect in a sci-fi movie. The panel itself is probably one of the best displays I've ever seen on a smartphone. And keep in mind, this is the 6.3-inch model. The Note 10 Plus and its larger 6.8-inch display looks even better since it crams in more pixels per inch. It doesn't matter if you're watching movies, playing games, or just killing time on social media. The content on this display feels like it's going to jump out and come to life. Viewing angles are phenomenal, and it's probably one of the best screens I've tested this year for visibility in direct sunlight. And the good news is that the AMOLED panel is extremely power efficient, so you won't be chewing through your battery even when the brightness is cranked up to the max. I'm typically not one to go on and on about the quality of a display, but it's honestly hard not to when the quality is just this good. Oh, and let's not forget the ultrasonic fingerprint sensor that's embedded below the display. It's decently fast and accurate if you decide to remove the pre-installed screen protector on the Note 10. And if you want something a little bit faster, there's always face recognition, but that's definitely not as secure. When it comes to its cameras, this phone here delivers pretty much the exact same experience that you get on the Galaxy S10 devices, which made their debut earlier this year. There are two 12-megapixel sensors paired with a 28mm standard and 58mm telephoto lens, and then a 16-megapixel sensor that gives you an incredible 12mm ultra-wide view of the world. The Note 10 Plus does come with a fourth time-of-flight camera sensor on the back that does help with 3D tracking, but it's not something that you're actually going to miss on the smaller Note 10. Image quality is phenomenal with impeccable detail in daylight and above average performance once the sun does go down. Samsung's updated night mode even manages to deliver impressive images which are significantly brighter than what you would get otherwise, though it still pales in comparison with what you would get from the Pixel 3. But having the versatility offered by the 3 different focal lengths is something that can't be understated. While many people love the zoom lens, I find myself capturing ultra-wide shots as often as possible. With that lens, you can capture an entire room, amazing streetscapes or landscape shots that you typically only could get with the panorama mode on a smartphone. Of course, the telephoto lens does come in handy from time to time, but for me, it's not the star of the show. The one thing that I'll say is that the cameras on this phone are consistent and predictable, allowing you to anticipate how the image will turn out before you capture the shot. There have been a few times that I was disappointed with the images that it captured, but it was honestly wishful thinking that the shots I wanted to take could be captured by a smartphone instead of a DSLR. As for the selfie camera that's peeking through the display up front, it does a pretty good job. Despite there only being a single sensor, Samsung has included a wide feature, which honestly should be the only option there, since nobody wants to take a zoomed-in selfie picture. But it also allows you to take live focus shots to blur out the background, and if you need to capture a late night selfie or when the lighting just isn't optimal, the night mode works here as well. If you record a lot of video with your phone, that's where you're going to notice the real improvements. The new Super Steady setting essentially delivers the stabilization that you'd get on your phone if it was mounted to a gimbal. To do that, it crops in on the video and stabilizes the clip using the phone's internal gyroscope. By default, it switches over to the ultra-wide lens, which means that you still get the same view as what you would get out of the standard sensor without the feature turned on. It's not perfect since the sensor paired with the ultra-wide lens doesn't do well in low light conditions, but you can always switch over to the main sensor if you don't mind the zoomed-in crop. Despite that limitation though, I find myself using the Super Steady feature as often as possible when recording video while walking around. One new feature that works with the front-facing camera and also the main camera is the new Live Focus video, which allows you to capture video of yourself or your friends while adding digital blur or other effects to the background. Now, I do have to admit that this is a little bit of a gimmick, but it does come in handy if you do want to record video without showing everybody all the details of your house or the mess that's covering everything. Naturally, the S Pen is the one distinguishing feature, which not only gives the phone its name, but sets it apart from every other smartphone on the planet. Sure, there are a few other phones that have pen support, but no one comes close to delivering what Samsung does. This year, Samsung has built in a gyroscope and accelerometer into the S Pen, allowing it to change camera modes, zoom in and out, or switch between the phone's various sensors with different gestures. Honestly, the only reason you'd ever want to use any of these features is if you're trying to take a selfie with a phone on a tripod. Of course, you can still take a picture when pressing the button on the S Pen, and honestly, that's still the best feature when it comes to camera integration and the pen. But for all those who use the S Pen for productivity and, actually getting work done, Samsung has added in advanced OCR, which, if your handwriting is neat enough, will allow the written text to be transcribed. And thanks to Samsung's new partnership with Microsoft, the transcribed notes can then be saved as Word documents and easily shared with your colleagues. This may sound like a minor feature upgrade, but it actually makes the S Pen a lot more valuable as a work tool. Of course, you can always use the pen to create amazing works of art, and that's probably one of the things that it's best at. Or you can have fun with the new AR doodles, which allow you to sketch on the live view of the camera. Samsung could have done a lot more with the S Pen, but honestly, I'm not going to be complaining because this here is the most advanced smartphone peripheral that's currently on the market. Oh, and its clickiness factor? This thing is out of control this year. Honestly, it's probably worth buying the phone just so that you can do this. With large devices becoming the dominant form factor these days, this phone doesn't have all the advantages that the Note series has had in the past. Battery life was one of those things that made a Note special, but this phone here only has a 3500 mAh battery, which is pretty much average for a 2019 flagship smartphone. It will get you through a full day with 25 to 30% battery life remaining, which may actually be the extra power you might need if you're planning on making it a long one, heading out to dinner or a late night concert. But if battery longevity is definitely a main concern for you, the Note 10 Plus solves that issue with a 4300 mAh battery, which delivers an extra 3 to 5 hours on a single charge. There is some good news on the charging front though. This phone will charge from 0 to 60% in just about 30 minutes, or you can take it to a full charge in just over an hour. If that does sound faster than what Samsung has delivered in the past, that's because this phone here has been updated to support 25 watt charging, while the Note 10 Plus supports 35 watt charging. Of course, wireless charging is back as well, and both of these phones charge a little bit faster than they did before. And they've also included the same reverse wireless charging feature that was introduced on the Galaxy S10 series. It's not super fast by any means, but it is a convenient feature to have if your friend's smartphone is running low, or if you need to charge your smartwatch or earbuds in a pinch. I'm not going to touch on the phone's software other than to say that Samsung's One UI on Android 9 is identical to the experience offered by the Galaxy S10 series. If you want to know more about that, make sure you check out our Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus review. The one minor difference here is the inclusion of a new DeX feature, which allows you to plug your phone directly into a computer rather than a standalone monitor. Users can drag and drop files between the two devices, play games, send text messages, and even answer phone calls. The experience is a little bit more laggy than if you were to plug in the Note 10 directly into a monitor with a keyboard and mouse, but it's definitely a lot more practical. The Samsung Galaxy Note 10 and the Note 10 Plus are the best Android smartphones Samsung has ever built, and beat out what the competition's been throwing at it in 2019. That being said though, you might sense my little bit of disappointment here. The Note series used to be all about innovation and testing new ideas. That didn't happen this time around. You're looking at an iterative upgrade, combining the best ideas of last year's Note 9 with the new features Samsung introduced on the S10 series earlier this year. It's an incredible piece of hardware for sure, but it somehow lacks that bit of magic that gave the Note its signature status for so many years. If you're willing to drop $950 on the smaller Note 10 or $150 more for the Note 10 Plus, you'll probably won't be disappointed. That being said, there are plenty of other options out there offering larger displays, bigger batteries, and cameras which are nearly just as good as the Note 10s for $200 to $400 less. Now, I'm all about saving money and finding the best bang for your buck, but for me, there's just something special about this smaller Galaxy Note 10 that's going to keep it as my daily driver for a lot longer than what I expected. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. We have a lot more Galaxy Note 10 coverage coming up, including camera comparisons and a whole lot more. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.